Hello and welcome to the Stateside Soccer Show. My name is Jordan Wiegand, and with me, as always, is Logan Stump with the asterisk next to always.
It's all right. It's only been
Certain
5
conditions
episodes.
apply.
Yeah, certain conditions apply, and it's usually like I'm out of town,
Out of the country.
out of the country, out of town. I've never really been sick. I think we've had to move them because of headaches and stuff, but we've never missed one because we've both been sick. Like I did this with COVID.
You did do one. I think you did an interview by yourself, Arlet, right?
That's right. Yeah, you weren't available.
Massive headache. Well, you know what? Good thing we recorded on Monday last week, because if people don't know, we had a huge storm here on Tuesday. And we're about to have another one here outside of here. But it took me 4 hours to get home from my 40-minute commute.
That's right.
4 hours. I go out and I'm like, okay, out of my office, I make a left. Man, it's already starting to rain. So I make a left and go about, it takes me an hour to get about 5. And then there's a tree down. So I could not go that way. They had me turn around, which means it took me another hour to get back to my office. So I got out, went to the bathroom, got food at the place down the street, and kind of chilled there for a bit before finally heading home, and then having to pick up dinner because we didn't have for my wife because we didn't have power here. I get home, no power. I had to go to Target to get one of those little lanterns, get back, pop the batteries in it, and as soon as we put the batteries in it, the power came back on. So
good, yeah.
It was a crazy day. Good thing is there was no games going on, nothing I missed, so I got lucky there. But we have a lot of player movement for the show today. I don't know what I'm going to call this episode yet, but man, is the transfers and trades heating up in MLS, and players that are American either leaving MLS or players coming in MLS or other Americans going to other teams. There's a lot going on, Logan.
Too much to keep up with. I mean, I'm looking at all the notes and stuff that you've made of people moving around. And Twitter was a buzz, of course, because anytime MLS tweets, it blows up on my phone. But gosh, there's so much. And we kind of called this too. Like we were talking about the fact that there could be a crazy couple weeks ahead just because of last week. I mean, we were covering so much last week. Now it's even more this week. It's unbelievable, really.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week, or really day, just today for player movement. I woke up today to like the Gioacchini news, I think, right? And then we had I felt like anytime I looked at Twitter during the day, I'm like, oh, this thing happened? Oh, this thing's happening? Now this thing is happening? So a lot going on today. Of course, some things had been rumored for a bit, like Shaq Moore going to Nashville. It sounds like that's closer to being official. Julian Gressel got traded to Vancouver in the middle of the week this week after we recorded, I think. We had, before we get into more of these players, though, this weekend was pretty awesome. I'm off today. I'm off tomorrow, so I feel pretty good about that. I feel like Logan in the middle of summer right now. And I went to see, on Saturday, I went to see Everton Arsenal at M&T Bank Stadium, which was fun. My dad's an Arsenal fan, so I went and we were sitting in the Arsenal section. It was a fun game. The first half was great. You know, your boy Gab Jesus was there. He scored a goal. He looked dangerous. Saka looked pretty good too, I feel like. And Arsenal were just dominating. Everton looked really bad. But then the second half happened. They made a lot of subs, and the second half was terrible. The second half was really bad. Like it was pretty much playing in the middle of the field. But I will say the field on top of the turf at Raven Stadium was really good. It was like some of the best I saw it recently.
Really?
Yeah. For like those just like sod on top of turf, it looked really good. I really liked it. And we also had then Sunday, my dad and I drove up to see the Hudson River Derby. Said it was going to take us 2 hours and 40. It took us about 4. Traffic. We hit like this really bad traffic. But still got there before kickoff, and got to our seats. We had really good seats.
Yeah, you did.
It looked pretty nice. And the stadium is beautiful. I'll talk a little bit more about it later. But just a soccer-filled weekend for me. And this was the weekend originally that we were trying to get you up here. Remember that?
Yeah.
And we were talking about going to the Union Revs on Saturday. But then I would not have been able to see Everton Arsenal. So everything worked out in the end. But it was a good time. Arsenal's heading down to your neck of the woods. The face Orlando and down there. I'm sure tickets are very expensive down there. Ours were like $100 a person.
People were making $200 more than they had paid for their original, because I guess season ticket holders could sell their tickets, obviously,
or whatever. Yeah.
So they got to sell the ones that they pre-ordered. And like one guy had said he made $250 face value, or like more than face value, on 3 tickets. I was like, that's crazy. Like, that's insane. How crazy. Like, I'm actually, I get why they're playing at Exploria, but I wondered why they didn't just go to Camping World. You'd have sold more tickets.
Are both at Exploria? I forget.
I don't think. No, I think Chelsea
Arsenal at the bigger one.
I think they're at Camping World, and then
that makes more sense.
They wanted to play home, I think, for Orlando City.
Yeah, Matt Turner played the whole game too, from when we saw. So that was cool. Anytime he made a save, USA chants going out. It was a lot of fun. It'll be in my TikTok. I'm still working on. Hopefully, at some point it's done. I tell you, I've edited it like 2 days in a row now, and I'm like, just get me done with this. 3 minutes long too. I've shortened it from the 10 minutes I had originally. I'm like cutting it down and down. But yeah, it was a good weekend for me and soccer. We were kind of celebrating my 30th birthday, which was a year ago now. But we were supposed to do something special for it. COVID kind of messed that up for a bit, and then I kind of pivoted from going across country with how expensive that is right now. And we kind of pivoted to go into, New York for Red Bulls and NYCFC. And I guess we kind of lumped in this Everton thing, which was more for my dad for Arsenal. But my parents covered the cost of the ticket. So it kind of is like a birthday gift to me as well.
I was going to say that's nice. Yeah. Especially with the value of those tickets.
And with my goodness. So Saturday, before we're all supposed to go, I had to run River to the vet after her surgery. She was having her wound got infected. So then that was another $200 to get that sorted. So it was crazy.
Oh, there's some thunder. Wow, it was loud. That was nuts. That was really loud. I get like over the head.
Pouring.
Good night.
And Oscar's barking. I'm sure
Oscar
you hear
doesn't
him.
like it. I get it. I understand. Completely understand. So, like,
and River doesn't bark.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, so is there like a lot of? I mean, as far as like fans were concerned, like were there a lot more like U.S. fans like spattered? Like, did you see more like were they supporting Arsenal and Everton, or was it more of just like just random American fans that were there just kind of watching?
75 to 80% Arsenal fans.
I think that makes sense, I guess.
The Everton fan section was not that full compared to the Arsenal fan section. You saw a lot of red, a lot of Arsenal kits, Thierry Henry kits. It was a lot of that. I saw some Chelsea kits. I saw some Tottenham kits, and the Arsenal fans were giving them a tough time. There's a guy sitting with a Sun jersey on for a long time, not Phoenix Suns, but
I was like, what?
And they were, giving him a really hard time.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a little overboard at times. I get it, but like they were chanting at him still in the 80th minute, and I'm like, all right, like watch the game.
Right.
But that's how bad the second half was, though. So, so that was interesting. But yeah, mostly Arsenal fans. They actually showed I guess today they were releasing. Marlon Humphrey has a podcast or a YouTube show for the Ravens. And they were having 2 Arsenal players on his show or something this week. They were showing clips of that and saying dropping Monday. So it definitely felt like more of an Arsenal thing.
Yeah.
Than an Everton thing. Frank Lampard got huge boos. I cheered for him when they announced him. So that was funny. But
it's kind of odd. I guess because
he was Chelsea.
Yeah.
Pretty much it. But yeah, it was a good time. Not that full. I mean, we fit 70K there. I think my dad said it was 30 or 40K. So we had still some room there.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think some of the novelty for some of these matches have worn off. Because I remember when I went for Chelsea AC Milan, it was packed.
Yeah.
Packed. And that was like almost 15 years ago now. So at this point, we have these every summer, and I don't think Arsenal Everton is a like sexy matchup because they play each other twice a year in the EPL. Like if it was, I think Arsenal Barca, Arsenal Madrid, it probably would have had more fans, I would think.
Yeah, if you bring Madrid over here,
Madrid or Barca would get more seats because you have the Hispanics and you also have just bigger names, right?
Mm-hmm.
People they've been around longer. Well, I mean, like people have been watching those teams more than ever in this country, right? So I think that would, and they don't play each other all the time. If you had Arsenal, Barca, be like, oh, wait, they never play each other, especially now that Arsenal's never in the Champions League that much anymore. So then when are you going to see it? So there you go. But no, it was a good time. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad Baltimore had one again because it's been a long time since we had a game there. I think Liverpool, Tottenham in 2012.
Wow. I'm excited because City's over here. They were in Houston. It was really weird. They were Pablo Zabaleta.
On TV tomorrow night, I think.
Yeah, Pablo Zabaleta and Julian Lescott. They were the ones throwing out the first pitch. I'm like, they couldn't find like current players to. I was really confused.
Who was it?
Julian Lescott and Pablo Zabaleta were throwing out the first pitch. I'm like, you couldn't like bring. I mean, heck, you could have brought anybody. Like, throw Laporte out there or something. Give him the ball. Just let him throw a baseball. It was really odd.
And where was it at? Where were they throwing out first pitch?
Houston Astros.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, guys were.
Those players are probably.
Yeah. I mean, they were banging on trash cans and stuff. It's really weird.
ESPN2, Man City Club America, Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. It's Wednesday. 20.
It's when Orlando Arsenal is at 7:30 that day.
Yeah.
Sounds like a dual screen type of day. Charlotte and Chelsea is on ESPN Plus that day too. That's great. Tomorrow is Barcelona, which Phil Neville called the biggest game in club history. What do you before we get into the player movement, like, because I did want to bring this up. I didn't know when to bring it up, but we'll talk about it since we're talking about these friendlies. What type of comment is that? What are your thoughts on a coach saying that this international friendly that means nothing is the biggest game that Miami is ever going to play or has so far played in their history? And two, especially when Miami is actually close to a playoff spot this year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get like the opponent might be the most monstrous they've ever played as far as like players, but to call it their biggest game ever and might be ever, it's kind of funny just because, I mean, I guess it makes sense. Miami has been so bad. They're pretty decent this year. But I would have just shut my mouth and said, Barcelona's a really good team. It'll be a really good test kind of thing. Not like looking at it going, oh yeah, this is the biggest game we'll ever play. Cause it did make it sound like we suck. So this is the biggest thing we'll ever get to face. So it was kind of weird that he had that sentiment about it. Cause I don't know. I couldn't imagine coaching there and being happy. I just couldn't.
Well, and I think too the way that, while it is true that there's another way to word it. Like maybe this is the best quality we'll face. Mm-hmm. These are perennial European contenders. Is another way. Anyway, we'll move on to some of these player movements. We hinted to a few before, but one of these is affecting Logan's Orlando City. Gioacchini, U.S. men's player, free transfer from Caen, if I said that right, I don't know, in France, who are going to retain a sell-on percentage, by the way. He's 22 years old. He was on loan at Montpellier last year, but only played about 500 minutes. He's going to Orlando. What do you think here? I mean, I think it's good for his youth men's prospects because the more you play, the better it's going to be. So the more, like at this point, he probably is going to play more than Hoppy and probably that would edge him out. It may not be for this World Cup. I think we're kind of set with our roster soon here, but going forward, this helps him get more in the picture, I would think.
Yeah, and I'm assuming. I mean, he's a center forward, but I'm assuming he's going to play on the wing because they do have Kara up front, and then we don't have him up front. They have Pato, so they're stacked in the center forward like depth chart. But I would say he's going to fill in on the left wing because you got Facundo Torres in there as well. So I could see him playing more of like a left wing role. And I really like him every time I've seen him play. I mean, I've always enjoyed liking him. I think the move back to the MLS is warranted just because I think he's in the top 10 leagues over there. And, I think moving over on this side, getting into a league that's up and coming and going to be a top 10 eventually. I think it's a good move for him. And you see a lot of the talent come back over here, start to play well. Like Jesus Ferreira has played into a situation where I think a lot of European clubs will be looking at him. And I think it's the same thing with Gioacchini here. He's got 8 matches with the U.S. men's national team, 3 goals. So I think he's somebody that you look at and say, okay, you actually have some prospects as to playing into some kind of depth position or depth spot on this team going forward, especially next World Cup. Because I don't think he makes this World Cup unless the team falls apart and they need options. But again, Orlando really needed attacking options, and if this is where you're going to go, it's good that it's an American kid. I think he'll settle in well here. I don't think there's going to be that adjustment period to MLS as much as there would be if there was if he's a player from Europe that's coming over here for the first time. So I think he's going to be used to the CONCACAF style play. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a good move. I always get him on FIFA. I love playing with him on FIFA, so I'm excited to add him to the roster. But
how's it usually work out for you? You get fired, right?
That's usually Jordan when I hire like all the Americans. Okay, I like take on.
By the
all
way,
the Americans
I'm at a 91 approval rating on my career right now.
Are you really?
Yeah.
You want to hear another fun story? I'm 100 for my career with Harrogate because I've taken them. My first year, I took them all the way up to League 1, and then I'm sitting like mid-table in my second season, which is pretty good because they really are awful. So
I'm top of the championship with Luton Town right now. The Hatters.
You.
Yeah.
That's mad.
What? That's mad?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Miguel Berry. This one shocked me a bit. Traded to DC United. 24 years old, 10 goals, 2 assists with the Crew. DC having to rebuild here with Rooney coming in, and they're going to do it also with Ravel Morrison, who played at Derby with Rooney, Jamaican international. He's going to be joining DC as well. So DC kind of, shipped out Gressel. They're bringing in some other players. What do we think about Miguel Berry going to DC?
I mean, with Cucho coming into the Crew, it makes sense on the Crew side. Plus, Miguel, he started the season really well, but then has done absolutely nothing since. He played in 13 matches, only had 2 goals, and I think those 2 goals were like the first 2 games of the season because people were talking.
They were pretty early, yeah.
Yeah, people were talking about him being an option for the U.S. men's national team because we're just out there hunting. We just throw everybody that scores goals up there. But it is funny how it's weird how like young strikers go through these spells, and it's not looking good for Miguel Berry. As far as the Crews, it wasn't looking good with the Crew. Now, trading him over to DC, I think with Rooney, I'm excited to see how much he progresses then. He's only 24 years old, so he's got room to grow. He's got these 3 or 4 years where you really sit in your prime, so you really want to perform well now. So let's see what Rooney does with him. However, I mean, that team really has fizzled since the departure of Losada, so I don't think we know what's left, right? I mean, I think we kind of know, Paul Areola isn't there, and that's kind of been a disaster. But with Rooney stepping in, Jordan, does that take them to – because they did lose a ton of players over the offseason and heading into this season. But, don't you think Rooney at least – one, they're going to get the new manager boost, but now they've got new manager boost, and it's Wayne Rooney. It's got to go
he's bringing
up.
in players. I mean, he tried to bring in Lingard instead go to Arabia or something, but he was trying to bring in Jesse Lingard, which would have been a pretty impressive get, right? I mean, that would be pretty good. I'm looking at Miguel Berry here, right? And I'm looking at last year. Last year he had 18 matches played, only 9 starts, 844 minutes, 8 goals and 1 assist. This year, 16 matches played, 13 starts, 970 minutes with 2 goals, no assists. So it definitely a decline in the goals. I mean, I don't have too much advanced stats in front of me. I mean, if we're looking at like XG, he's looking at an expected 2.6. He's at 2 right now. So he's kind of close to that. He overperformed his XG last year of 5.1. So, definitely going down, right? He has 19 shots this year, 2 goals. He had 26 shots with 8 goals last year at this point. And only out of those 19 shots, Logan, only 4 of those have been on target for Miguel Berry this year. So try to go somewhere, start fresh. He's probably going to need depth. They still have Ola Kamara. They still have, players at DC that can kind of fill and be the lead. Like I said, I think Ola Kamara is probably still going to be the main striker, but at least now he's probably going to get more playing time than he is. So Hernandez coming over because he's kind of hitting the ground running over there right now. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, really, last year looks like the outlier if you look at his stats, but at San Diego, 3 goals and 3 goals each year in San Diego.
Because DC also has Taxi, so I wonder how it'll work. I know Kamara's kind of slowed down from his really good season last year. I don't know. I just wonder how he fits. I don't know what DC's system is going to be under Rooney. I don't know what Rooney ran over at Derby. But it will be interesting to see what. I mean, most of the time you don't know until he's managed his first game. So,
Taxi's stats are unreal. 12 matches played, 10 starts, 10 goals, 1 assist. Like that is just crazy.
He had that hat trick though. That was like he got a couple goals that I think were.
He's scoring 1 goal per 90 minutes.
Is he American?
No.
Dang.
But maybe he can do a one-time switch. Is there a way we can get that figured out?
Is he American?
Yeah. There's got to be some way he's American, right? Let's figure this out.
Right.
Let's rush a green card on him.
We read Julius Caesar over here, and that lines up, right?
All right. So we have Miguel Berry. We talked about him. Chris Richards, Logan, is apparently going to Crystal Palace from Bayern Munich. Sounds like it'll actually be a permanent move, not a loan.
I mean, he wasn't going to play at Bayern, so
right. Yeah,
I like that move. Like he's going to be playing Premier League soccer all year, and probably starting for Pereira. So I like that. Like I get on board with that.
You think he starts for Palace right away?
Who
else do they have?
Salisu, who's getting sold, I believe. Right? That's one of their center backs.
Let me look at their website.
Mohamed Salisu, I believe is his name. I think he's being sold this summer, or at least he was rumored, because I think City was the one that was looking at him because Ake is going to leave.
So they have Joel Ward, Tyrick Mitchell, Tompkins, Mark Guy, Anderson, Klein, Kelly, Ferguson, Hannum, and Adarama. None of those say if they're center backs, so that's the issue.
I think he can compete with those. Like, I don't know who half of them are, but like I know a couple of them.
Yeah, I guess he could. Yeah, I mean, looking at it's Tompkins, Ferguson, Anderson, and Gaye that are center backs.
And I think Gaye is the one that starts normally. Slot him in.
It'd be interesting. He definitely wasn't going to play at Bayern. He'll get way more time at Palace. I think it's interesting he's not going to like Hoffenheim again.
Yeah, it's a weird move.
All of our guys are going Premier League.
There's probably not many transactions. In fact, I don't even know how Bayern Munich probably found the phone number for Crystal Palace's front office. Like, what's the number over there?
We never send people there. What's their number? Julian Gressel to Vancouver. We didn't talk about where he was traded to, but that's where he went. Morrison to DC. Talked about that. Shaq Moore to Nashville. That gets them more on the radar.
More
and kind
on
of
the
the
radar.
big one that was kind of rumored for a long time, but it sounds like I may have seen Taty Castellanos' last game and last goal for NYCFC when I went up there yesterday. They're talking about him being purchased by City Football Group Girona, which is an Italian team, I believe, that
Girona.
No,
La Liga. Yeah.
Yeah, that just got promoted to La Liga. And this was reported by originally Jamie Ojeda from Say Lama Soccer. Tom Bogert collaborated on that, saying, I've heard this as well. And Taylor Twellman came out and said that he had heard this as well. So Twellman said specifically if there's a lot of smoke to the fire, and it should be done soon. So it looks like I may have seen Castellanos' last game in NYCFC.
Might have seen the last time that NYCFC are competitive, Jordan, because that's 13 goals just walking out the door.
Yeah, he scored his 13th yesterday, league leading.
Like they got Abear, but like we talked about this, we knew this was coming. We thought it was going to be sooner. I thought it was going to be way sooner. I thought he had no chance of starting the season, let alone lasted this long. And then from what Bogert and them were reporting, that City Football Group had not really gotten any offers close to what the market valued him as, which was wild to me. I'm just like, I wonder what it is with him. Like, why do people? Is it because he's in this league? Like, is that the reasoning, or is it because they don't want to pay City Football Group that much money? Because I could see City Football Group wanting a ton.
Yeah, I think that's probably similar. Yeah. I mean, we saw this happen with Jack Harrison as well.
Yeah,
that once he got there, they were able to loan him somewhere, and then Leeds purchased him. Like, I think City Football Group is asking for too much. The rumor is 15 mil is what they were all asking for, which is way too much, I think. He's been good, but that's a lot.
Yeah, especially for how old is Taty?
It's a good question.
He is
off the top of my head.
Oh, okay. So he's not that old. I thought he was older than that.
No, he's only 23, turning 24 this year.
Wow, I thought he was a lot older. Okay, that's not really. I mean, 15 million is a lot for a 23-year-old, but if he's in the European market, he's more money, I think.
Man, he could have had more goals this year than he has last year. Last year he finished with 19. He's got 13 after 16 games.
Yeah. And he was really starting to turn it on, too, because he'd been pretty quiet to start the season.
Yeah. It's crazy. It was fun watching him, though. I'll talk about it when we get to that game, but it was a lot of fun.
I'll ask you the question when we get to that, then.
All right, I guess we'll go ahead and look at the results from the week. We had Austin versus Houston on Tuesday. Austin wins that one 3-1. On Wednesday, we had Atlanta 2-1 over RSL. The RSL curse continued for Jordan visiting them. Fire 2, Toronto 0. DC drew with the Crew. Hey, that rhymed. 2-2. Cincy drew with Vancouver 2-2. Miami lose to the Union 2-1. Minnesota draw with SKC 1-1. Nashville beat the Sounders 1-0. Rapids draw with Orlando 1-1. NYCFC get a win against Dallas 1-0. And the Galaxy stumble and lose 3-2 to the Quakes. So that was all the midweek action. On the weekend, we got Montreal versus TFC. Montreal wins that 1-0. Philly topped the Reds 2-1, come from behind win. Fire beat the Sounders 1-0. Sounders 2 straight losses there. Miami beat Charlotte 3-2 in what is not their biggest game that they'll ever play. That is Tuesday night. Minnesota beat DC 2-0. Rapids beat the Galaxy 2-0. We'll talk about each individual game after this. I'm just going to read scores. Dallas draw Austin 1-1. Houston, why did I say Houston? Hudson River Derby. NYCFC beat Red Bulls 1-0. Nashville beat no. I am stumbling all
Wow,
over
they're
this.
good.
LAFC beat Nashville 2-1. Atlanta draw with Orlando 1-1. Cincy loses to the Crew 2-0. RSL finally overcome the curse 3-0 over SKC. I think it's because I went to see a different team play. It broke the
Yeah.
curse now. I think that's what
Yeah.
happened.
Now Red Bull and
Now Red Bull's
NYCFC can't beat anybody.
Quakes lose to Houston 2-1, and Portland draw Vancouver 1-1. For the rundown there, that was a jumble. That was a mess. Let's go to some of the results I think that are very interesting. I guess we should say Rapids 2-0 over Galaxy. Logan, Galaxy in free fall mode right now. They have fallen to 7th place, 3 straight losses, 1 win out of their last 5, 4 losses in their last 5. They can't miss the playoffs again, can they, Logan?
No, they can't afford this. Nor can they afford other players that actually make a difference, so it seems. But, I mean, this has been the same story every single year that I've been watching. And I know it's only been 2 years, but it makes it sound better for dramatic effect. But it really has. I mean, it's like when Chicharito doesn't do much, the team just falls apart and crumbles at his feet. And it seems like, I mean, they've got a lot of talent up front. But besides that, Jordan, I mean, they've got nothing to kind of stop anything on defense. And then they've also really struggled to score goals. I mean, defensively, they're not awful, but they're not like studly. And then in the attack, I mean, they never score enough. So, I mean, they've got a +1 goal differential. So, meaning, I mean, there's a lot of games that they give up a lot, and then they'll score a ton. And then, I mean, it's been a roller coaster of a ride for Galaxy. But now, I mean, it's like a free fall. And, I mean, where does it stop? I mean, you've got 3 teams on their heels that I wouldn't want on my heels right now, with the 3 in the Cascadian region. But, I mean, luckily Seattle's been losing quite a ton. And Vancouver is still trying to figure out if they can make the playoffs. But if you're the Galaxy, you're playing with fire, because I think Portland is reasonably going to catch you. And if they do that, I mean, if Galaxy miss the playoff again, I would assume they're going to look at Greg Vanney and go, dude, you've got 1 more year. And then we might look somewhere else because this isn't going very well.
I don't even think it's a Vanney thing.
Yeah.
At this point, with how
You
many
need to change.
managers have had it, I think they have to change the front office. The front
Yeah.
office is not working. They're constantly, like you said, they're not even able to bring in players that are really going to make the difference. They bring in Douglas Costa, right, who has done nothing for them.
Yeah.
So I think at this point, I thought Vanney could turn around. He still can. I think the issue now is that we're looking at is what a lot of LA Galaxy fans have said all along, is that the front office doesn't have it, right? They're not a good front office. They're not. This is not the same front office that had really built these teams. So that's what I'm kind of looking at here, of how much of a problem that they're running into with it. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like what I said I was going to do every single year is until they make it, I was going to pick them to get it so I could eventually be right. And It looks like I might have to do that again next year to get in the playoffs.
I mean, look at the firepower that LAFC is signing. And then look at And I know Gareth Bale's kind of strained, and we'll see what happens. But like, I mean, that's just even to sign high profile player like Douglas Costa. I think you and I were apprehensive because we're like, I mean, he's old. He's an older guy, and that's all they've really brought up. Like, you would think they would bring over some of these big names, Jordan, but they don't have what seems to be the market. It's really strange.
Costa's not even that old. He's 31. All right, that's my
old.
age.
He's so old.
Let's not.
Ancient. He's way out of his prime, man. His knees probably hurt. His back probably has problems. But you're right.
Have back problems. Yes.
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, he's done nothing. And again, when Chicharito seems to be quiet, so do the Galaxy.
That is true. We will see what happens, I guess, with the LA Galaxy. All right, let's talk this Hudson River Derby. So finished 1-0 NYCFC. First half really felt like a lot of Red Bull when I was sitting there. It was, I mean, most of the possession was NYCFC, but I felt like most of the good shots were coming from Red Bull, having more quality chances. Second half was all jumbled again. I feel like the Red Bulls had some good chances, but then it really just took a few chances. We had an attempt at a bicycle kick from Castellanos. We had a lot more quality shots for both teams. And really, I thought it was, I was kind of hoping for a 1-1 draw. It probably would have helped the Union a little bit more. But I was just glad to see a goal, honestly, at that point. But it was good. It was good. Castellanos, I knew he was going to score that goal. When you see that ball getting whipped into him, and it happened to my left here, and I see him, and I see the ball in the air, and I look over, and I'm like, oh, my God, he's outrunning everybody. He's going to get there. And he did, and he put it away so easily. And, place erupts with boos, and the NYCFC fans over there are, like, freaking out. And it was pretty good. I thought, actually, Chris Penso, who was reffing the game, was really good until stoppage time. Stoppage time, he just totally lost the plot for me as I'm watching him, because you had Kalins, who's down on the ground acting hurt. He gets told to get up, and then he's like pumping up the fans like, yeah, let's go. And then, he didn't get carded. I felt like then he was calling every little foul. It was like ticky-tacky stuff he was calling. I don't know. I felt like he was just, when it got to extra time, I've lost some of that, like, I thought the ref was handling it pretty well. Like, throughout the game, I thought, like, he's calling both sides. He's doing well. Red Bull fans were upset at some calls before, probably like around the 70th minute, that I was like, no, I felt like those were the right calls from where I was sitting. But man, that stoppage time was rough. Some rough calls, and not good calls. I had a great time. It's a beautiful stadium, Logan. And they also did this nice thing where they had Luis Robles is the first inductee into Legends Row. So we got to watch that little thing. And they gave us a free pin as we exit that says Luis Robles Legends Row. And it has the years he played there, 2012 to 2019. So that's really cool. And then at the shop, I bought this pin, which is an NYCFC versus Red Bull pin. And it has the date that I went to the game, which is really cool. And I wish more teams would do this type of thing.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Like, when you showed me the picture, I was like, that is like a fantastic marketing idea.
Yeah, and they told me, I was like, they were like, hey, like, is this your first time here? Because I said, do you have pins for every game? And they said, yeah. And they're like, is it your first time here? I said, yeah. They're like, yeah, if you get all 17 of these for every home game, you come back and they give you a card and they punch it if you have it. And they will give you like a limited edition scarf or something that has to do with this. So that was pretty cool. They also gave us a free scarf. They were sold out of the free scarves when I got there, but somebody left one on their seat, and my dad took it as we left the stadium.
Good.
It was a cheap scarf, though. It's not like a really good.
It's not the RSL scarves that they give.
No. I didn't get that type of treatment here.
Yeah, I wasn't very active on Twitter before. I should have, but I forgot. I was out while you were at the game. I was like, dang, if I'd have been more active. You know what?
And I was posting. I didn't tag them in it, though. I should have tagged them in it.
You got it. Yeah, you got to get what's worth, man. Come on.
But it was nice. I tell you, though, it's just a whirlwind. I get there. Well, it takes 4 hours to get there.
That's the big traffic. Yeah.
We get there. We sit down. We watch a 90-minute game, which flew by. And then you're like, all right, time to drive 3 hours back home.
Yeah. Like with baseball, at least you get your money's worth, I feel, because you're there forever. I always feel like soccer, there's times where you're like, now what do I do with the rest of my night?
How is this game so fast? You're like, oh my God.
Wait, what?
Especially in person. When you're there in person, it's like flying by because
it is.
You know, there's no distractions. You're just sitting here looking at everything going on. Definitely no distractions at Red Bull Arena because I did not have good service at all. I was trying to send texts and I'm like, oh, this thing sucks.
Yeah, I got the Luis Robles text like 16 times.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
You're like, I get it. Enough.
Jordan's a huge fan, man.
I do like Luis Robles, so that was cool that happened. They like said about it at halftime or something. I was like, oh, let's stick around for that. And
that's pretty sweet.
Let the traffic roll out. A lot of people left before that. I felt sorry for Luis Robles because a lot of people left. But it was really easy for us to get back. We parked on the other side of the river, so we actually had to walk across a bridge and get to. We went to Five Guys before. There's a nice Five Guys. They're building up like all these condos and stuff right there that look really nice. I was like, imagine being like a player and like living in that condo. Yeah, to go right there to work the next day.
Oh, it'd be great.
It would be great. Or as a fan, like a season ticket holder, be like, oh, I'm walking across the stadium.
Yeah, you'd have to have like at least 4 roommates or like 3 roommates, and you could be called the 4 guys.
Yeah, we're the 4 guys. We live right above Five Guys. We had LAFC in Nashville. I've listened to this one on my way home. So I found like the ESPN app. You can listen to ESPN LA, which is the LAFC's radio partner. So I was listening to that on the way home. I want to shout out here Dave Denholm. He's the radio commentator. He was fantastic for LAFC, by the way.
Really?
There's a part where, well, I said it kind of sounds like me playing FIFA, where like I'm just like,
wow, you think highly of yourself.
I do. I really do. When I commentate, I do like the same style he did.
No, I get it. I got you.
And, you know, sometimes soccer on the radio doesn't sound great because some people don't keep up with the action. And he was keeping up with the action pretty great. And it was exciting. He was being excited for both teams that I'm like, oh, my God, there's a shot, you know. But then there was also like the penalty call for Nashville. And how late it came for them to review it with VAR, and he like went off on this VAR tangent. That was so good. And he was like, VAR is a disgrace to the game. Remember who told you that first? It was Dave Denholm.
Dave's going after the VAR assistants. The VAR assistants
he said, I hope MLS is listening to me right now.
we should take this clip and like post it and tag him on Twitter and MLS and VAR, because I think you can tag MLS VAR communications too. So just be like, he's gone absolutely a-ham on your little VAR system there. That's great.
Oh, it was absolutely great. Yeah. He was awesome. So I tried to find it. I don't know how to find radio.
ESPN might do a playback. They do it with games, like videos. So maybe they do it like a ESPN plus like playback of the audio. Or you could, well, maybe like if you could find a feed of the, like usually on their local radio station.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you can find what radio station unless he does it for the club, then you probably won't be able to find it.
He does it for 710 ESPN LA.
So yeah, you might be able to find an audio playback then. Like in the archives.
Yeah, that's what I gotta try to find how to.
Yeah, let's just tweet at him. Hey, would you mind coming on the show and like talking more with us?
Yeah,
this Jordan loves you. I'm gonna tag him on Twitter. Where is he? Let's see if he wants to come on and talk.
It was man, it was awesome. It was a great time listening to Dave Denholm on LAFC. And now I'm like, oh, every LAFC game, I kind of want to just pop on the ESPN app and listen to him.
All right, I'm going to tweet at him right now. How did he get lucky enough to get the Twitter handle of Talk Soccer?
I know. It's not good. He has like a podcast called that or something, or a YouTube video he does with that or something. So maybe that's how. I don't know.
All right, tweeting at him now.
Okay, and then I wanted to talk to you a little bit also with that game. Bale made his debut. Chiellini made his debut. and they won 2-1. It was a good game to listen to on the way home. It wrapped up like pretty much as I was like 10 minutes away from home, so it pretty much took me most of the way back, which was good. And we had Atlanta 1, Orlando 1. Orlando had a lead too. It seems like they're not able to either hold on to leads or they just don't score enough to win.
You want to hear a fun Doyle stat? In the last 30 minutes of the games this year, Orlando City's goal differential is -10. And that's a Doyle stat. Isn't it?
I also had some Doyle stats too. Hold on, this was for Castellanos. Listen to this. I meant to talk about this during the game that it would make sense in. He scored 23 goals in his first 86 games for NYCFC. And since then, 36 goals in 47 games. So he's really got the scoring boots on now. So time to purchase him. But yeah, that's not a good stat for Orlando.
No. It's very damning. You know what else is damning? How awful they are with how much talent they have. It's so sad.
Do they actually have talent though? Do we know that?
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement that they have on paper good talent. Like Pereira is really good. Cara's been great. Facundo Torres is a star. Jimenez is really good. So like what's the issue? AC is one of the best center backs in MLS. Ruan's really, really good. Gaese's or Pedro Galisi, whatever you want to say. He's one of the best keepers.
Yeah, he's not going to be around much longer. He's probably going to leave.
So, like, I don't know. I mean, on paper, we have one of the better rosters. So I don't get it. Oscar is a good coach, I think. Mm-hmm. So, what's going on?
He has this MO, though, where they do start hot. This happened at Dallas a few times where they'd start hot and kind of fall apart. Usually they'd be in the hunt for supporter shield and then tail off. This was never really the case this year. Or really any time with Orlando. Mm-hmm. But I don't think Orlando's ever had as good of a squad as his Dallas teams, though, either. So it's confusing. I don't know what to think of him. I've been a Pereira fan for a long time. I just don't know at this point. What is it? What's the issue? Doesn't help with new ownership coming in too.
I mean, they're spending the money. I think it's more about getting a team that fits. I mean, their midfield has struggled at times, just kind of keeping the ball in the attack. And I don't know, maybe it's time to move on for Mauricio. I think Mauricio's on a 1-year deal, Pereira. So maybe it's more of a 10 issue where you're getting more creative stuff up front. But also, I think you miss a lot with like Cash Mueller, like when Chris was playing really well for Orlando. Mm-hmm. Like they missed a lot of that creativity on the wings, which is why I think they go out and they get Gioacchini, because I think he's an option. But I don't know. I think there's times where they lack attacking creativeness or at least in the midfield. And then sometimes in the attack as well, the wings go quiet because their goal scorers are scoring when they get the opportunities. So
not enough though, right? They have 26 goals.
They're just not getting 30. In the box.
And their top goal scorer is 7 goals with Caro.
Yeah, they're one of the worst team. I think they are the worst team as far as getting the ball into the box and converting.
Their XG, they're actually still overperforming the XG too, so that's not good. Yeah. Their XG is 23.9.
Yeah.
They've got 26. Goals scored, like I said, they have 26. DC has 25. Toronto has 26. That's near the bottom of the league. Inter Miami has 22. Charlotte has 25. They're kind of mid-table. Crew, who is right behind Orlando, that's something we need to talk about. Are 26 and 27. Every other team above them has more than 30. Mm-hmm. So definitely something telling there. When you look at goals against, Montreal has given up more, and that's the only team that's given up more above Orlando. But yeah, Crew are in 6th place, Logan. They are 1 point back of Orlando with a game in hand. So it's very real possibility that the Crew overtake Orlando next time. We got Philly, top of the East. Let's talk about that real quick. 39 points. NYCFC up to 2nd with 38. They have a game in hand. Red Bulls have 33 points. Montreal is 32. Orlando is 30. Crew has 29. Cincinnati has 27, and that's your playoff spots. Outside the playoff spots are Charlotte with 26 points, Miami with 25 points, New England with 25 points, and 11th with 24 points, Chicago up to 12th now with 23 points, Toronto with 19, and DC United in 14th place in the East with 18 points. They're actually wooden spoon contenders right now. And that's with a person that's scoring 10 goals in 10 games, Taxi Fontes. Not great.
East runs through Philly, I think.
Philly and New York. I think really with Taty, if Taty leaves, this is a big opportunity for the Union to lock up home field advantage.
Yeah. Massive. Because if you have to play at Subaru for the whole playoff run, good luck. I mean, I know, of course, this year I think you could beat them, but I don't know. Put them in a playoff situation. I still think the Union are really tough to beat, and especially at home. I think if you get those fans behind them, Sons of Ben will be nuts.
They've only given up 15 goals this year, Logan.
Yeah.
Which is the least in MLS.
Mm-hmm.
They've not lost at home. They have a 6 wins, 5 draws, 0 losses this year. Their away record, though, is 4 wins, 4 draws, and 2 losses away. So, yeah, definitely would want to win that home field advantage. Only 2 losses on the whole year, which is the best in MLS. The next best is 4 with LAFC, Austin, and NYCFC. So that's your East. There's starting to be a huge gap here, 39 points and 38 points for the top 2, with 3rd place having 33, 4th place having 32, and 5th place having 30. So you're starting to get some separation but for those top 2 teams in the East. Over in the West, LAFC have reclaimed the top spot after Austin took it briefly before LAFC played. LAFC first place with 42 points. They have a game in hand of Austin as well. Austin has 41 points. RSL have 33 points. Talk about a big gap between 2nd and 3rd and 1st and 3rd again here. Minnesota in 4th with 31 points. They've catapulted up after having 4 wins and 1 draw in their last 5. Nashville in 5th with 30 points. Dallas in 6th with 29. Galaxy in 7th with 27. You have the Timbers in 8th with 27. Seattle in 9th with 26. They've got a game in hand. So do the Galaxy. We have Vancouver in 10th with 26 points. Dynamo in 11th with 25. Rapids in 12th with 24. San Jose in 13th with 22. And SKC sitting bottom of the West with 20 points. Which means your supporter shield leader right now is LAFC, then Austin, then Philadelphia, then NYCFC. So really the top 4 in MLS, the top 2 in each conference, are clearly, I think, the class of each conference at this point.
Yeah, it makes you wonder when playoffs do roll around. I mean, right now when playoffs roll, I mean, anything can happen in the playoffs. But, I mean, I think when you look at it as far as talent is concerned, I do think you're right. I think Philadelphia and NYCFC are maybe a class level above the rest of the East right now. That might change with NYCFC depending on how they kind of adjust to not having
That's
Castellanos,
the question.
right? Yeah.
Somebody, or what's the deal? What do they do?
Right. But I think you're totally right. As much as we like rip on the East, I'm starting to think maybe the West is not as strong as some had thought. Right, because I still find it weird that like even Portland, Seattle, and Vancouver are still sniffing in the hunt because they haven't been great. So, the fact that they are coming up pretty quickly. And like you said, there's a huge gap in between RSL and Austin now. And I do think, LAFC will be interesting because the Bale thing, he played, he had his debut 18 minutes, and he didn't look like dangerous, but it's 18 minutes. And who knows how that adjusts. But I think there's also some weird situation where he likes to play in the same spots that Bale does and the other attacking players. So it'll be interesting to see if Bale can adjust. Because let's be honest, you can add a really good player, and sometimes it just adds more chaos, especially in soccer, because it doesn't fit quite right. So we'll see how Gareth adjusts. But, if I'm looking at a team right now, Jordan, that I'm like, okay, this team is really I think Austin is probably the most dangerous of all the teams in MLS right now because they've just been on a roll, and they've seemed to have figured everything out.
So what I put up here is I think you're absolutely right when it comes to looking at the points.
Mm-hmm.
These two conferences are starting to look very similar.
Yeah.
Look at this: 39, 38, 33, 32, right? The playoff spot area, 27, 26, 25,
Mm-hmm.
right? Let's look at the West: 42, 41. Third place is the same with 33, 31, 30, right? This 7th and 8th spots, 27, 26, 25. It's like very similar with where people are bunched up and where the gaps are starting to show for these two conferences. So I think for a while it was very heavily favored the West, and now we're seeing, look at all the red on the West right now. Losses in their last 5. The East has
a lot more green than it did.
It still has a lot of red, right? But that's the thing.
More green than it did.
It's MLS being MLS right now, where everybody is just kind of
jockeying for positions,
falling apart, right?
Yeah.
But it's still that time where you can make a run. The concerning thing for Seattle is that their top goal scorers are still Morris and Rui Diaz with 5 goals each.
Mm-hmm.
They're not getting enough goals. They're not getting enough wins. And looking at their last 5, Seattle has 4 losses in their last 5. And you know what? How many of those are one goal losses out of those 4?
Out of Seattle's?
Yep.
1.
You're cheating.
2, 3. I'm counting. 3.
Yes, 3 out of their 4 losses in their last 5 are 1 goal losses. I almost said 1 run losses. So that shows that they're not getting enough production from their goals. How many goals have they scored in the season? 26. They've only given up 24. They still somehow have a plus goal differential, but that's because some games they'll score like 5 or 4. So it's helping the goal differential when they're losing 1-0 or 2-0.
And we thought they were going to be high octane. Like we thought they were going to.
Well, they did for a bit start turning it around after the Champions League, but they've kind of hit another slump, right? 3 straight losses.
Mm-hmm. Like we talk about how bad they've been. They're basically the same team as Orlando.
Yeah.
They've got some talent and nothing to do with it. Like, no. They look almost identical when you look at their stats.
Let's go ahead to the match of the week preview. Let's do that.
It's time for the match of the week preview.
Match of the week preview is where we tell you what game you should watch, and obviously it's got to be tomorrow night's biggest game of Miami's history, Logan. It's Barcelona versus Inter Miami.
Yeah, right. Messi. Oh wait, no.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Let me think. Oh, Lewandowski might be there though. That's fun.
Yeah, probably not at this point. Yeah, that was a joke. We're not actually talking that, but we'll go ahead and look at Saturday, July 23rd. NYCFC host Miami at Yankee Stadium. That's at 7 o'clock. 7:30, Cincy hosts Nashville. Columbus hosts the Revs at 7:30. Orlando hosts Philadelphia at 7:30. Toronto hosts Charlotte at 7:30. DC hosts Montreal at 8. Houston hosts Minnesota at 8:30. SKC hosts LAFC at 8:30. RSL hosts Dallas at 10 o'clock. Seattle hosts Colorado at 10 o'clock. Vancouver hosts Chicago at 10 o'clock. And Portland hosts San Jose at 10:30. And guess what? None of those games on national TV. So
I'm shocked.
Have fun with that. Sunday, Austin, 8 o'clock with facing the Red Bulls, which means the Red Bulls are going to lose because now they have been transferred. The curse of Jordan visiting your team. And we have a 9:30 game, LA Galaxy Atlanta on FS1 on Sunday night. It's a late game.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Not a lot to pick from here, I think. I'm going to pick, the obvious one, the stateside soccer show derby, Orlando versus Philadelphia Union. I'm going to go with that. Philly's top of the East. Orlando really needs to sort it out, but Orlando's also hosting, and they're not very good at home.
They're not very good, period. I'm going to go FC Cincinnati and Nashville. These two teams, I felt like if Nashville had stayed in the East, they'd become rivals because they're right down the street. Not really, but close enough, that Midwest area. But I do feel like this is a really good test for Cincinnati. They have drawn 4 of their last 5 and have lost that other one. So they're really starting to skid here. And if they look up, they'll see their friends from the North anyway, where hell is real because the Crew have now jumped and surpassed them in the table. But now FC Cincinnati is clinging to a playoff berth. And really, Jordan, I mean, they've been probably one of the worst franchises in MLS history up until this point. And now they're finally getting ready for their first playoff spot. And looks who's going to come find them is the new expansion club who we thought had a very similar path that maybe Cincinnati was going to have. But now Charlotte is sniffing down and trying to get FC Cincinnati in. They could take that 7th spot. So Cincinnati really needs a big win here. Brandon Vasquez has been stuck on that 10-goal mark for quite some time, and they've kind of slowed down in the attack. So we'll see if Cincinnati can do anything productive here against Nashville. It'll be tough because I think you look at it and you say, Nashville's a better team. Nashville's better defensively. So now naturally Nashville should win the game. But I think, I don't know, I think Cincinnati's got a real good chance. It is at home for Cincinnati. So maybe they get a win in West End and can finally salvage some points, or at least 3 points here, get off the 1 mark.
And I'll point out for people that don't have ESPN Plus, but you have FS1, Galaxy Atlanta is your only national game. But it's a good one. Both teams very, very on the downturn, need to turn it around. So that would be your storyline going into LA Galaxy Atlanta is, can one of us get a win? That's going to be the question that they both are asking themselves here. Can we take advantage of this team's downturn? Well, we're also in our own downturn is kind of what they're going through. So keep an eye on that Sunday night at 9:30 if you're interested. That means it's probably a 10 o'clock kickoff with it being on FS1.
Yeah.
Let me see what the website says. Does it tell me? 9:55 is the actual kickoff on a Sunday night.
Yay.
Okay. Anything else about any of these teams? Portland's kind of been on a run. That's why they're kind of going up a bit recently on the table. So that's nice to see. But yeah, I think we covered everything that we had to.
Yeah, I'm just going through some MLS tweets real quick just before. TP, they really like to break news here.
I know. Make sure we didn't miss anything while we're sitting here.
It does sound like Cecilio Dominguez, as of Tom Bogert's 37 minutes ago tweet, that they are interested in leaving, he and his agent. So it sounds like that DB spot will free up for Emiliano Rigoni. Sao Paulo. But that looks to be the only news that I can see.
Yeah, I'm trying to scroll through here as well. right. Yeah, I don't see anything.
Yeah, nothing crazy. It looks like. As soon as we hang up this, you know something's gonna happen.
Yeah. Player of the week went to Emmanuel Reynoso. There you go. That's about it. If you want to give us a follow, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok now at Stateside Show, or you can email us statesideshow@gmail.com. I wrote down this prediction you made still that
No,
I'm
don't
holding
read that.
on to.
Yeah.
June 30th, Logan says Minnesota will miss the playoffs. Right now, they're in a spot.
A home spot too. That's not fun.
I know they really climbed up there pretty quick. They said, "Did you hear what Logan said about us?"
It's that I'm telling you, Adrian Heath, man, he likes to put Andrew Weeby stuff up there. Now he's putting my
Yeah, now he's
up there.
putting our stuff up there.
He's like, Weeby stopped talking bad about us, so now these stateside
Listen to
guys.
these two unknowns go
Right.
on about this.
They have like 7 followers.
Give us a little bit more credit, 500 something. But yes, yes.
Follow us, like, subscribe, do whatever you got to do.
Leave, like us if you're watching on YouTube.
Yeah.
Comment below, or leave us a review on now. Spotify does it too, or Apple Podcasts. And I'm gonna go order my Away Days mystery kit, so we'll have fun with that. And maybe if it comes in, I can even do it live or something. We don't.
Do it.
I'm probably ordering 2 this year, so we have opportunities. Well, thank you all for listening, and have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you next time after Miami beats Barcelona in their biggest game ever.